Hello, everyone, and welcome to LexTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today, the person that we are going to meet has been working in the legal business, in the legal industry for almost 2 decades. Her name is Letícia Baddauy. She is a graduated in law and in business by the most prestigious institutes of Brazil. MBA in Agribusiness, Master in Civil Procedures, and certification in negotiation by Harvard Law School. She teaches arbitration and ADRs at Londrina State University, where she also develops in gender diversity in arbitral tribunals and state courts. Her academic work also includes lectures, articles, papers, and legal opinions. Letícia is involved in initiatives related to diversity and inclusion as the Brazilian Arbitration Committee Group of Diversity. She is a PhD candidate in sociology, researching gender equality in Brazil state courts. Practicing corporate and agriculture business for more than 2 decades, she is the founding partner of Baddauy Advocacia. During her career as a lawyer, she has had experience with private and public sectors both. She is a fellow of Chartered Institute of Arbitration, London, UK, the Malaysian Institute of Arbitration, and the Arbitrators and Mediators Institute of New Zealand, and her name is in the arbitrators list of highly respected institutes. Thank you so much, Letícia, for taking out time for this show, and we welcome you to here.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Vinay. It's really a pleasure to be with you again and take part in this series of interviews by LexTalk. I'm really glad to share this moment with our spectators and with you.
Thank you so much. It's definitely a pleasure for all of us, and I'm sure viewers would love to learn a lot from your vast experience, and you have been doing a lot of things on different fronts. So I think that, so we have a teacher, we have a lawyer, we have a business graduate, we have a law graduate in front of us. What else you can ask for? So let's get started. And the first thing that we want to talk about, since most of our audience is going to be from the legal background, so let's talk about one of your most complex legal issues that you worked upon. If you could please describe the complexity and tell us how you approached it.
Sure. I have a special view of one case. I worked on it a few years ago, and it was in litigation, and of course related to agribusiness. And what makes this case so special is the fact that I had at that moment several clients. They were all farmers involved in this conflict with a big company of agribusiness. And it was really a complex issue in terms of legal and technical points and controversy, but it was also special for precisely the fact that these people, my clients, were a kind of the side that was weak, the weak side of the controversy. And it was a very sensitive case. We had to convince the courts that they were acting totally in good faith. What happened was that several farmers delivered their crop. In Brazil, we have this practice to deliver the crop to some storage, and then the company and the industry buys it from the storage. And the farmers delivered their crops to a storage, and it just disappeared. They didn't receive anything. The owner of the storage disappeared. So they came to me, and of course, I said, what can we do? We need the money. We have to put food in on our tables and etc. So we went through a long proceeding. It was a very lasting proceeding. but we convinced the state courts, not the judge for the first moment, but we had an appeal and convinced our state court here in Paraná, my state, that they were acting in good faith and the company was liable for this payment. Although the owner of the store had disappeared, the responsibility was, in fact, the liability was to the company and not to the farmers to have this loss. So it was a very, not only complicated, because I have to explain all these things to the courts, to the judges that sometimes are not very used to deal with farms and agriculture practice. But at the end, we went, and it was really a great satisfaction to me to be able to help these people that are so important for our country, that in fact they feed us every day.
Absolutely amazing. And I can understand that it was really a complex case because, the person who kind of took in charge of those crops was disappeared. And we were not able to find him. And then we had to kind of file this case against the company. But, if you can also tell us about the complexity. So how did you prepare yourself for this case? If you can just tell us about some key points so that our audience can make note of this.
Yes, of course. Vinay, it was the first difficulty as a lawyer was to organize the exhibits, because the farmers are not used to stand before a judge or a court. And as you say in Brazil, they are very simple people. And so and the other difficulty was to talk to them, because there were several farmers. So I had to organize everything. In fact, once we had to prepare a different venue to talk to them, because my office wasn't big enough to be with all of them. So this preparation of the documents to use as exhibits was the first complexity of the case. Then we had everything very well organized with a timetable and a very detailed explanation of dates and deadlines and what was the deal about the payments that had to be made, should have been made by the storage. And then it was like the first great step to organize everything and put all this together, make the statements, elaborate the statements and the requirements to the judge. The second point was the thesis, the legal thesis, the arguments, because you had to convince the judge that there was good faith involved there. It was a very important point. And the contract between the storage and the company was not to be put in charge of the farmers. It was something that the company had to resolve in another dispute with the storage. So this was, in Brazil, we call it the appearance theory. So the farmers felt that they were dealing with a big company, because in front of the storage, there was a huge announcement of this company, that the company used it to buy soybeans there. So this was precisely the complexity of the legal issue involved. So the facts and exhibits was the first step to organize everything with almost 40 farmers that were not used to this kind of disputes. And then the legal arguments. And at the end, we had also an oral hearing, and I had to present orally the case to our state court. So I would say that these were the three huge steps of the case.
Okay, thank you so much. And I can totally relate to these farmers who are not really, they don't see the courtrooms, they don't see the judges every day. So they must be in a very uncomfortable environment right there. Yes. And to convince them to come in the front and talk for their rights and ask for their rights must have been a difficult one. Thank you so much, Letícia, for throwing some light on this complex issue. And with that, we move on to the next question. Let's talk about the pandemic a little bit. So the pandemic saw some courts moving towards more remote proceedings and availability. Is this sustainable and a possible way to access to justice, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's not only sustainable, but there's no way back. We are already used to it. And even the ones who aren't, they need to make this transition because there's no way back. At least in Brazil, there's no way back. It's true that some hearings and some auditions, some meetings are physically conducted nowadays with a better, not the end of the pandemic, but a better phase of the pandemic. We have vaccine here in Brazil and everything's going better now. But the fact is that it is costless. The proceedings go with there's a better duration. The celerity has improved. In Brazil, we have a problem with celerity in our justice because we are a huge country with many suits, but many proceedings are getting faster with the electronic proceedings, the virtual hearings. And as a lawyer, I can tell you that it is, although it's not the same thing, the feeling and the eye contact, we have, of course, losses. But on the other hand, I can talk to a judge that is in our capital, Curitiba, or in our Brazil capital, Brasilia, with a video conference. So there's less costs and it's much easier if you compare that we needed to go to Brasilia to talk to a minister is a justice. In English, we say a justice of the Supreme Court. Here you call them ministers. So I think there's no way back. Of course, as I said, there are some losses concerning the contact, the physical contact, because you are humans and we need sometimes to be physically there. But if you make a balance in a general way, I would say it's going very well in Brazil. I'm an enthusiast of the technology in litigation and in arbitration, especially. If we have more access to justice, I think it facilitates many things. But in my country, access to justice goes through other steps, other difficulties, mainly social difficulties that you have to overcome, and that technology not always solve.
I understand. I absolutely understand. And I think I like the way you said it, that this is not just sustainable, but that's the only way. That's the way forward that we should be looking at. Then there's no looking back now. Absolutely right. And two key points that you kind of highlighted about it, that it is cost efficient and it is effective. And it takes a lot, it saves a lot of time. So it's efficient as well. which definitely makes a lot of sense. So I think we completely agree with your thoughts on this, and thank you so much for throwing some light on this particular topic. I'll move on to the next question now, and let's talk about how would you rate the current legal system drive towards encouraging justice, access to justice? Is there a tangible movement in closing the justice gap, in your opinion?
I think so. Although we have a long and winding road to reach to eliminate this gap justice through the globe. And again, especially in countries that have more poverty. So of course, it's not paradise, but I think that yes, we have tangible movements, not only in Brazil, but also around the globe. Many people that are committed to really dedicate their time and energy to find solutions that are more cost effective and that make or try to make an approximation of the people that need this movement. Because there are many people that don't even know how they can go to a court, how can they find a lawyer. I will mention here some examples in my country. The universities have students that are coached by professors, that they work together so poor people that needs lawyers. All law courses in Brazil have a kind of office dedicated. It's like a law firm dedicated to these people that can't hire a lawyer. We have also many campaigns from our justice system, especially promoting conciliation movements. But in my opinion, the main point here is education. We have to educate people to know their rights and know their duties too, in order to know that they are being violated or they are going against the law. Because sometimes, and it's sad to say it, people that don't have access to justice, when they find justice, is when they are being put in jail. This is a very huge social problem. But I think that, yes, you have many professionals committed with really making justice or trying to deliver justice to these people. Of course, as I said, it's not everything solved like this. No, it's not a magic solution. There's no magic solution, but we have movements, relevant movements. And as we know, the UN has this goal for our millennium, for the 2030 agenda. Access to justice is something that is the responsibility of all governments around the world.
Thank you so much for throwing light on this, and you raised some very important points. There is a tangible moment. There are initiatives taken by the courts, the governments, the universities, as you mentioned, in specific to Brazil. And I think you rightly said that there is a tangible movement, but still there is a huge gap that needs to be still covered. And one major important thing that we need to do about it is spreading awareness and making people educated about their duties and their rights both. Thank you so much for highlighting those important key points, Letícia. I'll move on to the next question with this. And let's talk about the technology. You said that you're an enthusiast of technology. So in the era of legal technology, what are the most commonly used tools for you? If you can please highlight them.
And I would say the most popular ones, video conference. We use it on a daily basis nowadays. The apps apps that facilitates our life, our daily life here, like due diligence being made by technological proceedings, contracts and smart contracts. There is a legal tech hub that's giving us many solutions in terms of documents and the way we access the electronic proceedings, the cloud computing. So it's a mix of technological devices and softwares that help us every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you pointed out all of them, and I think these are the most important tools to make a lawyer's life easy and make him more efficient. I'll quickly move on to the next question, and that's the last question of our session today. So time is money in any profession, Letícia, and in legal, it's most of all. So how do you ensure to make the best out of your time as a lawyer?
I would say that the thing or the practice that is helping us currently is starting soon. I wake up very soon, and I have now the habit to start my day with exercise and prayer. And that's for me a mix that with these tools, I would say, my workout, my running, my meditation, I get energized to be in mental good health and physical good health. And besides this, planning, and I have to be very organized to be able to accomplish all my goals and my duties with clients and with students, and also with family, because I'm also a mother of two. So I have also to think about my family and have time at the end of the day to dine, have dinner with them. So I really think that this getting up early and preparing myself mentally and physically for the journey gets me to good results.
Well, these are two amazing advices. Thank you so much for sharing those great insights with us, Letícia. And it's always a pleasure to have you on the show and learn from your experiences. So with that, we come to the end of this session. For our viewers, if you like this chat with Letícia Baddauy, please like and share this video with your friends, your family, your colleagues who might need such advices. Also, follow us on YouTube. The channel name is Clickaway Creators to have more coming from the industry leaders globally. This is Vinay signing off for LexTalk World.